morning, everybody. Keith Engel here for TGI Sports Talk Sunday, Stream of Consciousness. Great to have everybody with us this morning. We made it back last week, safe and sound from our cruise, as I cough. I have a bit of a chest cold, not related to the cruise, but we're doing fine. Great to be back. We had a great show last Sunday. We went really long. We could go long today if we have to, but I know, and I do apologize for the audio issues we had after we dropped the Northeast Streaming Sports Roku. Not sure what happened there, but we'll try to avoid that today. Want to welcome in everybody watching on Northeast. Let's start with TGI Sports Talk on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. I think Twitter's really increased our audience and participation here. You guys have been fabulous on Sundays. Also, everybody on Northeast Streaming Sports, we are on the Roku channel there. Get that downloaded. It's free. A lot of great content on Northeast Streaming Sports these days. I mean, I think there's 50-ish. What's the word I'm looking for? Specific shows, let's say. And everybody on Let's Talk Sports, we're on their YouTube feed today as well. A lot of great talent over there as well, and a lot of fun. Thumbs up, DDH, and a quick shout out to Ralph Williams over there at RW Media, specifically the Sports Corner that he does with Smokin' Jim Frazier on Tuesdays at 5 p.m., 12:30 a.m., 99.3 FM, WVVP radio. Check that out. Guys, we're going to get into a lot of stuff today. Again, your show, driven by your comments and the topics you want to chat about. I'll throw out a few things that I have interest in. And by the way, we'll be joined at Jim Barringer, I believe, at some point this morning. I've not heard anything from Jim, but he wanted to come back on, update us on the NHL trade deadline, and maybe we'll talk a little college basketball with Jim for a few minutes. Once that happens, don't go away, because we'll get right back to our stream of consciousness. Don't worry about that. Whether he comes in at 8:45 or 9:15, whenever it is, we'll spend 15, 20 minutes with him and get right back into the comments. So some of the things that I had kind of primed you guys with, but we can talk about anything you want. Caleb Williams, the NFL Combine in general. Do we care that people don't show up? If I'm Caleb Williams, I probably wouldn't show up. If I'm Michael Penix, I do show up, because one can't improve his draft stock, another can. Now, I do have a problem with Caleb Williams not supplying his medicals. That's the problem. We can talk a little about the draft coming up, the quarterbacks, how we rank them. Caleb Williams looks to be the obvious number one with the Bears. Jaden Daniels, Flip, and Drake may flip-flop 2 or 3, depending on who you talk to. We got the Patriots with $100 million in cap room, which is why I'd be going after Justin Fields and drafting Marvin Harrison. I don't know what else. McCall, whatever the frick you say his name. And the Jets. This story gets weirder and weirder. He talked about how the Jets were mismanaged. They're claiming he leaked game plans, that he admits he quit. Why would I care what Hardman has to say about the Jets when he quit on his team? What else we got going on? How do you think your teams are going to do in the draft? What do you want to see them do, by the way? Rick Sherlock's a great example. I'll get to your comments here in a second. Rick Sherlock's a great example. Do you want, in free agency, Kirk Cousins back, or do you want to move on? We got some other fans with holes that need to be filled. Redskins, Anthony. Which guy do you want, Daniels or May? I like May myself. What other news? Baseball news. We're in spring training. We can talk about anything you want to talk about there. Burrows has another client signed. He's only got 3 major guys on sign now, as Chapman signed with San Francisco. Where do your team stand? What about Anthony Rendon saying, I don't even like the game I play? If you got a guy working at your place and he doesn't like his job, isn't it a problem? Bronny. LeBron passes 40,000 points. He's the highest scoring player in NBA history. First to get to 40,000. We could talk about that. Or his defensive Bronny. Should he be defending Bronny? Can't Bronny fight his own fights? And the whole Bronny situation where people are talking about Bronny's trying to pick the NBA team he's going to. Rodney's not going anywhere for a while, guys. He's averaging about 5 points a game. He's not getting drafted this year. He may not get drafted next year. He may not get drafted at all. But get the guy a chance to have his career play out, for crying out loud. Fan violence we talked about. Rick Pitino and college basketball in general. We'll talk about where we are with the bubble watch. First four in, first four out, that type of thing. Real quick. Maybe talk about what you think could happen in a tournament, who the sleepers could be. Rick Pitino's turning St. John's around. They had a bad midseason swoon, but they're back in the picture right now. Plus that and more. Anything you guys want to chat about, we will chat about. See who we got with us here this morning. Sorry about that long intro, but I like to get a couple of primer topics for you guys, and you can talk about anything you want. That's what we like to do here. Good morning, Kenny Gifford up on the mountain. We're going to get warm here in the next few days, 60. Hope you're going to get up on the mountain. Dave Gayat out in Amsterdam. Good morning, Dave. Big Syracuse fan. I believe Syracuse got a win last night, didn't they? Let me go back to the scoreboard I had open a little while ago. Hold on. Now I want to know if they got a win. You know, when I go to this one thing, I lose all my scores. Hold on. So I'm going to see how Syracuse. I don't know why Syracuse may not be on the bubble, to be honest with you. They could move themselves to the bubble, I think, if they. I think they got it when they played Louisville. If they lost that game, they're off the bubble. By the way, just saying. They win by 6 at Louisville. So they've got a big Yankee and Syracuse fan. We know that. Hopefully, Yankees stay healthy this season. Well. Health is a huge factor in any team's season, Dave. And they've got a bunch of guys who have injury histories. Judge, Stanton, Rondon, Nestor. We're counting on all these DJ. We're counting on all these guys. Rizzo. To me, Rizzo, Anthony Rizzo may be the key to this team. If they don't make another move, which I got to believe, and I don't want Blake Snell here, and I really don't want Jordan Montgomery back, but I guess of the two, I might take Montgomery because he knows what happens in New York. If this team is going to be, especially the offense, if it's going to stay as constituted offense and defense, Anthony Rizzo is huge. If he's back and he looks healthy and has overcome the concussion syndrome that he was dealing with, he's a key to this lineup in protecting Soto or Judge or both. And playing great defense at first base and being the glue to that defense. So hopefully they do. What else would be new? I see. I'm not very high on Caleb Williams either, Kenny, but I don't know that he'll be the next Ryan Leaf. You know who I compared him to? And I worry because not only didn't he show up to the combine, which I'm perfectly fine with. People say it's a job interview, you know, blah, blah, blah. But his job is pretty much secure. He doesn't need to go there. Same reason, Trump didn't show up to the debates. To use probably shouldn't have used that example. He doesn't need to. But he withheld his medicals, which is a red flag for me. He does not want to share his medicals. So Griffin, the third, is a guy that I kind of compared Caleb Williams to. Great talent, but is he healthy? Is he going to be healthy? Is he going to be able to stand the rigors of the NFL? Robert Griffin III I talked about, sorry. I compare more to him. The Ryan Leaf was an absolute total bust. I don't think Caleb Williams will be a total bust, but I don't think he'll be what people think he'll be. I think Drake May. I think Jaden Daniels. I think Michael Prax out of Tulane. I'll go out on a limb and say he'll be a better quarterback overall in his career. I'm not going to judge these guys on their first couple of years. Will be better players than him and out of this draft. Good morning, Rick Sherlock. So you come on my show as yourself and you come under an alter ego on Mac and Jack. What's up with that? But good morning. They still have their pro day to show what they have. No, not all of them do. Oh, their own pro day, you're saying. I'm sorry, yes. And they do that. They do that, and I don't blame them, to be honest with you. You come to the combine, you do what people tell you to do. You can't control what's happening. If you go there and refuse to do something, it's going to stand out. If you're a quarterback, you're not throwing to your receivers. So you have your own pro day and you can control everything. You do it on your field. You run the drills you want to run. You throw to your own receivers. And I think, to be honest, and what's the combine anyway? Is it really a reflection of how they're going to play in the NFL? You're running around without pads. I don't care what guys run without pads in a 40. What difference does it make? Matters what they run with full pads. So again, Caleb's father is putting a bad name to his son. Listen, I said this earlier on the Mac and Jack show too, and Caleb Williams, who again, I'm not a huge fan of. I don't think he's going to really be that great an NFL quarterback. I don't think he'll be Ryan Leaf, but a lot of this, there's some bad press. The press is trying to make up stories that he doesn't want to go to Chicago. He said the other day, I'm fine. I'm happy to be a Bear. His father, I haven't read a lot about what his father's doing. His father did say, I know, kind of was taking the Arch Manning route that alluding, was months ago. And that's the only, I don't know of anything recently, Anthony, you can fill me in. But months ago, he was alluding to the fact if he wasn't going to go to the team he wanted to go to, he'd stay at USC because, with NIL money, it's not like he's taking that big a pay cut. And welcome this morning, Anthony. Good to have you with us. And at this point, you don't know Washington's thinking about trading down. Really? Listen, I like Sam Howell, but I don't think the Redskins, the team formerly known as the Redskins, are that sold on him. If they trade down, it might be a good move because I'm worried. I like Drake May. I like Jaden Daniels a bit. But if you make a mistake here, same with Patriots, by the way, which is why I'd probably take Marvin Harrison and worry about a quarterback somewhere else. If you make a mistake again with a quarterback, especially in the Patriots case, you're going to set this franchise back 5 more years. And the Redskins, team formerly known as the Redskins, I owe a lot of money in fine money. Have a tough decision to make there, too. They may trade back. Be interesting to see what the Cardinals do at 4. They love Marvin Harrison. It seems to me they're sold on Kyler Murray. They may trade down. And I don't know that anybody's going to trade up to that 4 spot unless they either love Marvin Harrison or they think there's one of those quarterbacks doesn't go 1, 2, 3. Because you're not going to take McCarthy at 4. I think McCarthy's probably, he's probably a 2nd round pick, but he's probably going to go mid-1st round, maybe to Denver. I like the kid. I like his game. I have an affinity for Michigan quarterbacks, by the way. Dave says teams should fear Judge and Soda hit him back-to-back in the lineup. Of course they should. Problem is that isn't what wins games, Dave. There's a lot of other things that win games. Pitching. Strong starting pitching. Bullpen. Fundamental baseball, which the Yankees are horrible at. Good defense. So, yeah, Judge and Soto are not an issue, right? We're still hearing music? I know I am. Oh, let's get back to the comments here. Where were we? So you're right. You're not wrong. But they can only do so much on their own. LeBron broke the record and still lost. The Lakers have got their championship this year, so I think they're happy. Oh, God. Bro, what's the Lakers and the Knicks, by the way? The Lakers are on just this side, and it is a 6-game lead, but they're in the play-in part of it. So are the Warriors out west. They're probably safe from playing in a play-in, because there's a 6-game difference between them and the Jazz. But they've played a much better brand of basketball in the last month than they did right after they won this coveted midseason tournament. Good God. Lakers aren't going anywhere. My Knicks, they're going to get Anunoby, I can't say his name, back, but they need Randall back, and they're closer. They're in 4th place in the East, which is good. but they're closer to the play-in tournament than they are to third. LaFlop is training Bronny on his whining skills. First of all, I don't think it's Bronny that's whining. Let me do a quick fact check here. I could be wrong. Let me check some Bronny James news. Bronny James 24 draft call based on team interest. He's not getting drafted in the 24 draft. He's talked about, he hasn't whined. He's talked about, if he comes out, well, first of all, Bronny, shut up. I think he's overestimating his stock in this draft. He's not going to get drafted in this draft. But Bronny's been getting booed around the league and jeered, overrated and whatnot. And Bronny hasn't spoke up about that, but LeBron has and come to his defense. I don't think he's doing his son any justice, or maybe he's doing him an injustice by fighting those fights for him. Go out on the court and play better. Look at Bronny had a heart problem. Bronny missed a lot of time playing basketball. He came back mid-season this year. He's not having a good season. None of us can sit here and say we know how good or bad Bronny will be. I can tell you he's not getting draft interest in the 24 draft. It's just not going to happen. And again, as far as his whining skills, I'm going to leave out. You're entitled to that position, but I think a lot of the pressure that's been put on Bronny has been put there by LeBron. And I don't think Bronny has really whined a lot about some of the abuse he's put up with in visiting arenas. Just one man's opinion. He's a good player, but not even in the top 15, which I don't know which guy we're talking about. So are we talking about football or LeBron? If you're talking about LeBron, he's top 5. If you're talking about Caleb Williams, based on what we saw in college, he's definitely in the top 15. But that doesn't mean it's going to, you got to pick the guy. But I promise not to bite on that slip of the tongue. That's a hard one to pass on. I know what you're talking about this time. I've not been able to get into Mac and Jack on Facebook since they were in jail. Really? You're talking about Northeast Streaming Sports? I think the site's still down, or the page is still down. Mac and Jack is where you need to go watch the game or the show. So I don't know why you can't get in there, but Facebook, you know what? At the risk of biting the hand to feed you, Facebook sucks. I'm sorry. They just do. I had something come through that I had a copyright infringement on the show. What show? My Major League Baseball update. And they give you the examples that something was played that I broke a copyright with. It had to be something I said. Can't be my intro music. My intro music I paid for. If it's something I said, well, that's my opinion. And just like with Basement Bob, if I said something that somebody else said, you're watching me close enough to say that these 6 seconds of your show violated some copyright twice. So I wrote him a note saying, "You're full of shit." Excuse my French. Sorry, been doing that a lot. Anthony says his father don't want Caleb to sign a rookie contract and get a real deal. He can't. There is no whether Caleb's father knows this or not, there's a salary structure in the NFL. You can't get a $700 million contract in your first year, nor does he deserve it. There are parameters how much money you can give rookies, and it all depends on position and the place that you fall in the draft. So that's the rules, Mr. Williams. Who's his dad? Freaking Ralph Williams? Serena and Venus's dad? You can't just, I'm not following. I'm not signing because I'm not signing for that kind of money. You don't have any choice. You go play to Canada. Vikings need to sign Kirk, although he's not giving them a discount. Agreed. I don't know that he should either, by the way, Rick. By the way, I will say this about Kirk Cousins. And I told you that I gained some new respect for Kirk Cousins watching quarterback on Netflix last year. So followed him the year before last. But I gained some new respect for him. And I will tell you this, after watching his career, as a player, there's no better guy at negotiating contracts than Kirk Cousins. He's not going to go. He's going to squeeze every little nickel he can get. And God bless him. And he theoretically is still a good quarterback. How he responds from this injury is anybody's guess. I ruptured. I think he had a torn, just like Rodgers. I think he had a torn Achilles. Didn't rupture it. I ruptured mine, which, by the way, the difference is with a torn, you can walk off the field. There's other things you can do. With a ruptured, you can't even stand on a leg. So how you come back, and by the way, I was also 40, how old was I? 48 years old, I think, when I did mine. So my pro career was over. Good morning, Drew Ehrlich. Good. Welcome back from your Hawaiian cruise, I believe Drew and Ellen were on. Around the same time we were gone. They were gone a little bit longer, but welcome back. LeBron is not top 5. Listen, this is a very subjective conversation, right? And everybody has their own opinions. But right now, the only guys I can put, Jordan to me is still number 1. I put LeBron 2 myself. Kobe, Bill Russell, and either Wilt or Kareem. I can, again, you could make an argument that Bill Russell has to be in there because of championships. So Bill Russell played with a lot better players surrounding him than Wilt ever played with, not ever, most of the time played with. LeBron won a championship with Cleveland with nothing but Kyrie Irving. Anyway, I'm not going to love him or hate him. And again, I really believe if you say he's not top 15, you can't name. I want you to name 15 players better than LeBron right now. You can't do it. You can't do it. They're not. Yeah, no. If you're talking about Northeast Streaming Sports, they're not on Facebook. But the Mac and if you look for Mac Sports, you'll find Mac and Jack and can watch the show. Until Facebook and their infinite wisdom, who knows what they suspended him for. When I got suspended a couple of years ago and they took my page down, the Nazis that they are, they never even told me what it was for. I have an idea. And I think it was tied to sharing a logo of the NFL for the NFL draft on Northeast Streaming Sports. But they wouldn't even tell me what I was suspended for or how long it would be. And then one day it just showed up again. If you can remember, I went scorched earth on Facebook for about 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. John Gonzalez from Sports Authorities. Good morning, John. Great to have you with us. John does great stuff over there, as I said before, guys. Make sure you get over there and follow the Sports Authorities. John's not Sorrell and Williams either. John and I get along. John put a post up. Would anybody hang with John? I would hang with John Gonzalez in a minute. We don't agree with it on everything, but we're in a similar demographic, and I think we're more in tune with things than not. Good man, John Gonzalez, by the way. Got to get you up here, John, when we do our next little someway. Oh, I skipped one of your what happened here? Skipped a couple. Never known how powerful Joe Milton's arm is. Just need to work on his accuracy a little. Well, that's a big deal, in the NFL. These guys are completing 70% of their passes. You complete 65 and they say you're a failure. Joe Milton's going to struggle in the NFL. Joe Milton's going to be drafted very late. Relatively late. I mean, somebody might take a chance on his arm, but you need to be accurate to win in this league. You heard it from here. John First. Watch out for Spencer Rattler. He's the closest quarterback to Pat Mahomes in the draft. That's quite a statement there, John. I like Rattler. I'm not sure about his makeup. Again, after watching him on QB1 through his high school years, again, this is 5 years ago, 6 years ago, whatever. Kid's loaded with talent, but had a problem in high school, had a problem at Oklahoma. They didn't really win at South Carolina maybe the way they should have. And again, he wasn't surrounded with talent. I get that. But it's pretty big statement to say he's the closest to Patrick Mahomes in this draft. I would say Daniels might be. Well, no. Daniels really is more like Lamar Jackson, right? Michael Penix might be a guy that I might say is closest to Patrick Mahomes, but he's going to be in late second round, early third round draft, probably. But I do believe Rattler could be a sleeper in this draft. That's a pretty good call. Good morning, Ralph Williams from RW Media. As we mentioned at the top, check out Ralph's stuff on RW Media. Does some great stuff, specifically, as I mentioned, the Sports Corner with Smoke and Jim Frazier, Tuesdays at 5 on 12:30 a.m. and 99.3 FM, WBVP Radio. Check that out. Good to have you with us again, Ralph. Michael Jordan, I agree, number one. But again, I defy anybody to mention 15 players better than LeBron. I suppose you could get him to 6 or 7, maybe. You see, LeBron, here's the problem. We color, and I do the same thing sometimes. We color our opinions of guys based on what we think of them personally. Early on in his career, I liked LeBron a lot. I thought he got it. But then somewhere along the line, he went around the bend, like Aaron Rodgers, similarly. But you can't dispute how good a basketball player he is. You just can't. 40,000 points? Pats will select May. It looks like May right now, or Daniels. I mean, it depends on what the Redskins, team formerly known as the Redskins, do. I like May. Again, I'd still rather find a way to make a trade for Justin Fields. The market seems to be very lukewarm on Justin Fields right now. I think he could be had without giving up first-round draft picks. So I take Justin Fields and bring in Marvin Harrison with that third pick, but nobody's listening to me over there in New England. It looks like a done deal that they'll take a quarterback and bring in a veteran to help groom him. And I really don't want it to be Joe Flacco, please. Bring Jacoby Brissett back. You know, that would be a good stopgap. But they could do worse than Derek May. And again, you got to make the right pick here, John. If they don't make the right pick, then they set the franchise back again 5 more years, which we've been set back 5 years by issues in the last 5 drafts. Why should any team fear 2 hitters? I'd rather have 2 solid pitchers. Well, no, I commented on this, Kenny, that yes, I would fear those guys hitting back to back. They still will be much more effective if Anthony Rizzo is effective behind them. And I want the hitters and the pitchers. I'm the New York Yankees, man. I can have both. There's no reason this team should be going in with this type of rotation. Not when you had guys out there. I would love to see Dylan Cease in this rotation. I would love to have seen some other, but the problem is now if they panic now about the rotation, the guy they're going to bring in is Blake Snell on a make good contract. I'd rather have a better pitching staff than I would have brought in Soto here, and they would have been better. They would have had Michael King in this rotation. Michael King will be you can mark my words here, John. You heard it here first. Michael King will be the prime prime the diamond in that trade for the San Diego Padres. Michael King's a really good pitcher. Yankees just started to lengthen him out to be a starter last year, and he pitched really well. But you're not wrong, Kenny. John got restricted on Facebook for a picture of a table. Yeah. You can say anything, and they take it out of context because there's all bots that are looking at all this stuff. AI is looking at stuff you put on Facebook. They're listening to hear, and if I put 3 words together that they take totally out of context, I'm going to be gone. Next time Facebook bans me, you won't see me back. I'll take my show somewhere else. I can't get the viewership that I get elsewhere or that I get here because the groups, like John's group, support this show tremendously. And I apologize when I'm getting a chance to share it, but it's a great, great show. A great, great show. Facebook is a good avenue because of the groups like John's. It's a great, great group. But Facebook itself, full of Nazis. John's a huge fan of mine. I do outstanding work. Well, thank you, John. I need a bigger head than I have now. Had to expand my headset again this morning. Kidding. Thank you, John. I do appreciate that in all sincerity. 4 to 6 p.m. Really? You're 4 to 6 now on Tuesdays with the Sports Corner. Sorry about that, Ralph. When I find my little note for RW Media and you, I will make a change. Added an hour to his show. Good stuff. Thanks for that, Ralph. Any of you other guys who follow my show, and haven't seen any of the other showrunners that have been on. I'll be happy to, if you put a post up, share your stuff. Gonzalez would never pick LeBron over Larry Bird. I left Bird out. I'm sorry. I left Bird and Magic out. Maybe I got to move him down. I would put Magic just behind LeBron, though. I guess I would go Jordan. And again, I'm just doing this off the top of my head, so don't hold me to it. How did I left Larry Bird out the first time? I don't know. I would go Jordan, LeBron, Bird, Russell, and Kobe. Then Magic, 6. Wilt, 7. Wilt didn't win enough. I'm sure the thought's in the building, John, but the problem is he can't stay healthy. I mean, I know we're not looking to win, and it's possible that the guy that they draft will look to start, and Jimmy G would be there more as a mentor, which wouldn't be a bad role for him, I don't think. But Jimmy G, we've been there, we've done that. The injuries are catching up with him right and left. Just don't know. I know we disagree. There's a place we disagree on, John. I watched the Rendon situation last year, and I got into some huge arguments with some guys in a few groups. I don't think in yours, but in a few, that I thought Rendon was a horrible signing, especially at the money in the years they brought him in here at. He was an injury risk, and he was a fit risk. Some guys just can't play in New York. I think Snell is going to be like that. Snell, by the way, and you look at Snell's career, he's had some really good years. He's had as many bad years as he has good years in my mind. So he's very up and down. He's never pitched in a big market. Don't tell me San Diego's a big market because it really isn't. He pitches Tampa Bay and San Diego. He gets to New York, he will wilt under the pressure. Walks too many guys. When he's on, he's tremendous. I understand. But I've seen guys with electric stuff come in here and not be able to perform in New York, and I see that in Snell. But I do see I think there's still a 50-50 chance they sign him. And by the way, guys, the comments are awesome again today. I love this show, the way we've been doing it the last 2 months, I guess. We will get interrupted at some point when Jim Beringer comes in, gives us a little update on the hockey trade deadline. Maybe we'll talk a little college basketball, but we'll get interrupted for 15 or 20 minutes. But we'll come back to your comments as well. And if we have to go a little long, we will. Where's Kenny's favorite? Sam Hartman is going late. Sam Hartman's a 5th round, 6th round, maybe even gets passed on in the draft. I think 5th or 6th round is his peak. Unfortunately, and I know the Kenny favorite is facetious. Pistol Pete was not better. Okay, Jordan, I'll give you Alcindor or Jabbar as an argument. I'm not giving you Pistol Pete. No way. Pistol Pete's a great player, not better than LeBron. Not better than anybody you have on this list. Well, I haven't gotten through the list. Russell, I'll give you. Wilt. Wilt's a great player. Didn't win much. Dr. J, no, not better. Great player, not better. Jerry West, not better. Havlicek, not better. All great players. David Robinson, no. Magic, you can make an argument for. Bryant, you can make an argument for. The Big O, you can make an argument for the Big O. Dave Collins, no. Walt Frazier, who I love, no. Bob Cousy, no. You can't keep going. You can't keep going. You can keep going, but you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Only 7 guys I'll let you make an argument being better than LeBron. Again, it's a subjective thing. Clyde Frazier's a great player. Not better than LeBron. Great players. All these guys are great players. Not better than LeBron. I would not have traded for Soto either, John. He's one and done deal, and he won't sign with the Yankees. This could become a huge it's been a while since we've had a battle of New York. We could have a battle of New York over Soto. And the problem is now Ohtani's gotten $700 million. So what's Soto going to get? He can't pay him more than Judge. You can't. First of all, Judge is the guy. Second of all, he's a much better player than Soto. Can Soto do certain things better than Judge? Sure. But Judge is really a 5-tool kind of guy. He runs the bases well. He can steal a base. He's a good defensive player. None of those things are Soto. He's a good fundamental baseball player. That's not Soto. Soto can hit. And they might get into a bidding war with the Mets. We haven't seen one in a while. There have been some. Must have been some. Must have been some. Been some what? I'm not sure where you're at there, Drew. I get lost sometimes. Look up Ralph, John. You definitely want to have Ralph as part of your community, I think. Ralph's got some great stuff. RW Media, I believe you can find him on Facebook. And if you can't, there's a better way. Ralph, you speak up. Anthony Price. FedEx Field to be named Commander Field. Well, better than FedEx Field, I guess. What happened to the move to bring back the Redskins, Anthony? Did all us privileged white people put up a big fight again to have this name removed? Don't get me going. The head coach could have a different shape, as noted by one of your fans. Oh, the head. Oh, I'm sorry. The head could have a different shape, as noted by one of your fans. Which guy? Who are we talking about now? Soto? I don't know what we're talking about. Oh, gosh. I know where you're going. I was just talking about Barry Bonds and his head and how it's normal size again. Must have gone to a witch doctor, shrunk his head. Steve Orpello, good morning, buddy. Love my knowledge on sports. You know, if I don't know, I just make it up. You know, I've been in sales so long, it's only important you know what you don't talk. It sounds like you know what you're talking about rather than you know what you're talking about. Just kidding. I do try to do the best I can. Sometimes I fumble. And listen, when I bash your guys' opinions, I'll say this. I know I say it almost every show now. when I bash your guys' opinions, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm not right all the time. I'm often wrong. And again, to use the great Billy Packer quote, I'm sometimes wrong, but never in doubt. Very strong opinions. Drew says John Gonzalez's table must have been too naked for Facebook. Put a tablecloth on that thing, John. You know, for some of the crap I see on Facebook that gets through, I do not understand. What about this? And again, I have a lot of friends that are not my friends on Facebook, my personal page, because I accept a lot of friend requests so that I can build the audience here, which we're going to go over 2,000 very quickly. Followers. Only 1 million or so, maybe 3 million behind Joe Rogan. I know the exact number. I'm making that up. But some of them post some stuff that's amazing. It's stuff that comes up in my stories. You know how on Facebook you go in, your stories are right across the top of the page? There's barely clothed women up there. And my wife is like, what is that? I can't control what people put up. So anyway, that's a good line. Sure, that's a good one. Drew, we got to do, I got to talk to you. Maybe I'll wait. We'll talk. We probably ought to talk before next week. Middle of this month, or towards the end of the month, maybe. We want to do our yearly Major League Baseball preview. We'll do it maybe on a Tuesday night. I'm not sure yet. Got to think about it. But let me know when you're free, and we'll figure on doing that. I know you're talking players and not titles, Kenny. Everything gets equated in here. I mean, if we take titles out, I could make an argument that Wilt is the best player ever. Ever. I can make an argument for any one of those guys, right? So it's all subjective. I can't make an argument for about half your list, though. I can make an argument for 7 of those guys could be 1 and 2. I just happen to think LeBron is second best. That's all. And again, that's why it's subjective. Some people like titles. Some people like numbers. If you like numbers, you got to throw Russell off the list. Except for rebounds. You know, Steve, I hope the Yankees are going to be tough. At the risk of losing my Yankee card again on the Mac and Jack show, I'm really concerned because, again, the rotation's really thin. Rendon got hit for 4 homers again yesterday. And again, I don't put a lot of stock in exhibition games, but guys coming back from horrible seasons like Rendon had matter. I got to see that Nestor's healthy. I got to see Marcus Stroman pitch well yesterday after a bad outing the day before. He had a tweak in his mechanics, pitched much better. So the rotation's thin. The bullpen, I still don't like Holmes necessarily at the back of it. I like him, but I don't like him at the back of that bullpen. I love Loaizaga, but he's got to show he can stay healthy. And they've got guys that got moved on that they're going to have to replace. So health, and listen, I really think as we're constituted now, possibly the key to this team is Anthony Rizzo and how he bounces back from this concussion syndrome issue. And he looks to be healthy in spring training, so we'll see. Drew disagrees with John on signing Snell, but agree that they give up too much for 1 year of Soto. If they sign him long term, I'm probably okay. For 1 year, you're absolutely right, Drew. They gave up way too much, starting with Michael King. And the Snell, I don't know if we agree for the same reason. I think I thought at one point we had this conversation, well, maybe about Snell in general, not with the Yankees. I thought we had this conversation where you backed Snell a little bit. I don't like the up and downs of his career. And I just don't think he'll be a good fit in New York. I could be wrong about that too, Drew. Do you think Bauer should be signed? Not really. I think Bauer's a cancer. And even if you just forget about what happened that got him suspended for 2 years. Did it happen? Didn't it happen? I don't know. The guy put himself in a position to get accused of it, which is pretty stupid. And if you look back at his career prior to that, there's plenty of instances that tell me I should not want this guy in my clubhouse. He's a cancer in a clubhouse everywhere he's been. He was a problem with the Diamondbacks. He was a problem with the Indians. He was a problem with the Reds. And even the Dodgers didn't like him before he got suspended. He's a great pitcher. But you got to think about team chemistry, and this guy is not a good guy. Just not. I don't want him on my team. Sonia Pearson, great to have you with us. I was on with Sonia the other night. Enjoyed it. Check out her. Sonia, put up the information about your page, would you please? And she's sharing this show there now. But check out her content. She does a lot of good stuff. Just joined the Northeast Streaming Sports Network. I don't know. Time is a fleeting thing for me. 6 months ago, ish. Has been a great addition. And I enjoyed doing some shows with her on the Mac and Jack show and coming on her show from time to time. Yes, John, you've called me out. Chocolate Thunder is number one on my list. If it comes to breaking backboards, then Daryl is right up there. Every other part of the game, he needs a little bit of a boost. That's good, though. Daryl Dawkins was just a man-child, right? Wow. Remember him and Maurice Lucas going to square off? I think it was him in the 77 finals. They were squaring off right at midcourt. I would have taken, as big as Daryl Dawkins is, I'd have bet on Maurice Lucas in any fight ever. Former Marquette Warrior. Follow his son on Facebook, and he posts a lot of great stuff about his dad. If you like college basketball, go check out the I think it's Al McGuire Wit and Wisdom page. It follows Marquette, and some really cool stuff about Al McGuire comes up. It's really cool website. Bash my opinion, then play golf. That could. What are you gonna do? Give me athlete's feet with those bare feet you bring to the golf course? Jesus. Oh God. Let me know if we need a fourth, by the way. Anthony, I don't know, but our contract is over in 2026. So after that, we stay in Maryland or move to Virginia. No, I was talking about the fact. So we don't know. There's been no more talk about renaming or going back to the Redskins moniker for the franchise. And as I said, guys, well, I think maybe we won't. Maybe Jim won't be able to make it in. I know he's got to referee some hockey today. But if Jim Barrett comes in, we'll take a little break in the comments to cover this. Anthony's big Redskins fan, as we said. And, the Redskins, I'm sorry, I keep saying Redskins. I'm not going to stop, just to be clear. So anybody offend, I apologize. Sort of. That's hard, man. That's a hardcore fan base. And again, I think the league is better when certain teams are good. And I do think that historically they don't have the tradition the Cowboys have, right? They do have as good a tradition. Well, probably don't have the tradition the Giants have. I shouldn't say that's not fair. But I do think that NFC East is better when the Redskins are good because they got a rivalry with every team. But new coach, new ownership, things are going to be different there. Maybe they'll be better, maybe they won't be. Shaq's a great player. I can't put him in the top 5. Hakeem is a great player. I can't put him in a top 5. I mean, you rate either one of those guys over Russell or Chamberlain or Jabbar? Just to name 3 centers? I can't. They're great players. Again, I'm taking that's why this is subjective, right? Everybody looks at different things to make their opinions, but I can't rate him. I can't rate either one of these guys over those three centers. Excuse me. But that's why these arguments are fun, I think. One of your best interviews other than the Vikings, Lucas. I didn't have Lucas on. Maurice Lucas passed away a bunch of years back. I did have Butch Lee on. Trying to think who you might be confusing him with. Kermit Washington. Not a Marquette Warrior, but I don't know. You could be confusing one of those two guys, Rick, but I did not. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to have Maurice Lucas on. Let me see if I can zip through a few more of these comments quick. Jim's in the waiting room here. So hold the comments for a little bit, and if they got more, you didn't want to mess with Maurice Lucas, pride of the Marquette. I agree, man. I loved him. Lori, there is a lot happening at Wake. We're going to get Larry on. Hopefully, maybe before the draft, we'll have Larry on. I want to talk about the NCAA in general. Hardcore fan buying football gear every time the name changes. I think they're going to change it to the Redskins. I really do. Yankees should have signed Chapman. I agree with that 100%. Just signed with the San Francisco Giants. Hey, Colleen Schwartz. Some of you may know her as Colleen Ryan, Perth Heights. Good to have you with us, Colleen. Always good to see one of the twins put a smile on your face. Good people. Good morning to Bill Pulver. Where you been, Waldo? Well, you came in just in time for your boy Jim Beringer, who I'm going to bring in after two comments here. Have I been to the NFL Combine? I have not, and will not. I think it's probably a useless exercise. He's so stoned on a trip today. I'll get back to that later. Jim Beringer, good morning. How are you?
Good. What's going on? Make a quick few minutes for you guys this morning.
Appreciate that, and I know you got a referee, so we'll get right to it and chat about some stuff. I'm trying to change my banner here. How come I can't do it? Can't get your banner up.
Can't get my banner up. There he is.
That's not you.
I know it's not, but it's okay.
Yours is stuck in my queue here. There we go. Hold on. There we go. All right. Jim Beringer from FullPressHockey.com and LTS. You guys, you want to know about hockey, follow Jim on FullPressHockey.com. Great stuff. Plus, Jim does some great stuff with other sports, as you know, from here and other places. So, Jim, what's going on? Give us a little update on the trade deadline for the NHL, which is coming up Friday, and any other news we should know about, I guess, in the NHL. We talked a little Friday.
We did talk Friday. We had a couple trades on Thursday. Before Friday, we had the Chris Tanev getting traded from Calgary to Dallas. Nice little return for Chris Tanev. Chris Tanev, if you guys missed Friday's show, he was traded. Calgary gets what they wanted, second-round pick. They were holding out for a first-rounder. Unfortunately, they're probably not going to get it with the market. But they get a nice second-level prospect. They get a really good prospect, defenseman, Artem Grushnikov. He was taken in the second round, so basically equivalent of 2 seconds. There's a conditional third in there. If Dallas makes the Stanley Cup final this year, then they get a third-round pick. But, again, Dallas getting the Stanley Cup final, is it possible? Yeah, but it's the Western Conference is so tough. Also, Anaheim Ducks traded Ilya Lyubushkin to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Funny enough, Lyubushkin's out now because of a hit from Matt Rempe on Saturday night when the Leafs took on the Rangers, and a little shout out to Matt Rempe. He probably didn't need to do it, but nice little scrap there with Revo, third period of the Toronto Maple Leafs and New York Rangers game on Saturday night. And then on yesterday morning came through early, especially if you lived in Vancouver. We'll get to those Rangers in a minute. But Vancouver Canucks extended Elias Pettersson, 8-year extension, $11.6 million AAV, $92.8 million total, just $100,000 more than his buddy William Nylander in Toronto. Both guys pretty much following the same pattern. You know, we're going to not talk extension. Okay, Jim Rutherford's like, well, you don't want to talk? Fine, we'll go figure out who wants you. I don't think those trades were really real. I think it was a negotiation ploy because Vancouver's really going to get Jesperi Kotkaniemi and Marty Necas from Carolina, and hopefully they're getting another big player to replace Pettersson's production. So they sign him. Everybody's happy. Pettersson was never getting traded. He was always going to be a Vancouver Canuck. It was just to determine how much money it was.
John Gonzalez giving you a little shout out there, Jim. I know you know John and the sports authorities very well. Good guy, and
all my work's on the sports authorities as well. Everything.
Yep, good guy, John. I love him following us. Colleen, CA got here just in time. I heard.
Yeah, CA. I brought in the Stars. Look, I'm a big Dallas Stars guy. I like what they did with Logan Stankoven. The kid had 3 goals in 4 games. Had 4 points in 4 games. The kid was unbelievable. He's played really well. They sent him down because, I think they're going to make another move at forward. I think they're looking to bring in somebody else. If they don't, maybe we see Stankoven back up for the stretch run for the playoffs because he's played really good this year. Dallas right there with Winnipeg, with Colorado at the top of the Central. It's a shame one of those 2 teams, you don't want to finish second or third because it's going to be a tough matchup between Colorado, Winnipeg, Dallas. One of those teams is going home in the first round of Stanley Cup playoffs, which is a shame because, it's going to be a great series, but it's going to be a shame that one of those 3 teams go home because all those teams are really good. And all the moves, Winnipeg brought in Sean Monahan, that's a great move. Dallas is going to bring in Chris Tanev when he gets cleared for visa. It should be Tuesday. He should be playing for Dallas. So I love what Dallas has. You got Ottinger. You got, Pavelski, Robinson, the ageless one, Joe Pavelski. This guy continues to play. Great tipper. Great tips in front of the net.
Great tipper.
Yeah, he's a great tipper. Exactly, he's a great tipper. I heard good things about him. But it's interesting because Dallas, Tyler Seguin's hurt. They may have some money available to use, but now they've rounded out their D pairing a little bit. So I like what Dallas has done. Still not sold on Pete DeBoer, but we'll see. Maybe he can go prove me wrong.
Good morning to Robert Butler over there at Sports Scope. He also is doing some great stuff here in Northeast Streaming Sports. Love Robert's stuff. We go on with him every once in a while on a Wednesday night, too. And also, CA says the West is stacked at the top.
It is. The West is stacked at the top. Like I said, we just mentioned the Central, Dallas, Winnipeg, and Colorado. Then you go over to the Pacific, Vancouver, Edmonton, Vegas. And now Nashville's making a charge, right? 8 straight wins. They could have had Tommy Novak out there. Alexander Carrier was rumored. UC Saros was rumored. That ain't happening now. And I'm going to be honest, Tommy Novak was linked to the Rangers. I don't think that was ever going to happen. I think Tommy Novak was always going to stay a Predator. He was never going to leave. Barry Trotz likes him too much. He's his type of player. Young center. He's, with him, with Evangelista. You have Philip Forsberg there, too. Ryan O'Reilly. They got a lot of young players there. Nashville is doing things the right way, and this is a time of year where they get hot, and UC Saros has found his game. Maybe those trade talks started to turn him around because, like I said on Friday, there was a deal in place, but the Devils declined it because they didn't want to give up Dawson Mercer. And we're going to see. Look, I'll say it again. New Jersey's goaltending, it's a problem. It's been a problem. It'll continue to be a problem until they resolve it. Whether they do it in 6 days, 5 days now, between today, Sunday, and Friday. We'll see if it doesn't happen. Well, it's going to happen at the draft in the summer because they have to resolve their goaltending problem. But the problem is, it's New Jersey. It's a market of one, right? Everybody knows you need a goalie. Well, Fleury's off the board. Gibson's probably not getting moved. Saros is definitely not getting moved. Markstrom may or may not get moved from Calgary. But their priority is to move Noah Hannafin because he's an unrestricted free agent. Because they want to get value for their unrestricted free agents. So, all right, Merzlikins in Columbus. I think everything waits till the summer. To be honest, I just don't know if they can get it done. Now, a lot can change in 5 days. One phone call, one proposal, and it goes to the league office. But I think it's a lot more complicated than we think.
Can the Devils, if they do not make that move, still compete for a playoff spot? And if they do, are they going to make any impact at all in the?
They need a whole attitude adjustment. They need to play better. They need to get back better defensively. They got to figure out who they are. The thing is, they have the ability to do it. But when you lose to Anaheim twice, when you lose to San Jose, Arizona, Columbus, Montreal along the way, Washington a couple of times, and you can take those Washington games out of the play because Washington's still there. But when you lose games in hand and you lose points in hand, it makes your life difficult. And you could have been 3 points behind the Flyers. Now you're 7 points behind the Flyers. Things are starting to become more difficult. Washington continues to win. The Islanders starting to win. Your runway is really, really short, and you need to put a massive winning streak together to do it.
Yeah,
I don't see it right now. If they don't get a number one goalie now, they're not making the playoffs.
I would say that I would agree. Couple good mornings. Kathleen Ryan Pachoka, who is Colleen's twin sister. As I mentioned, anytime I see the twins, I get a smile. Good girls from Perth. All you guys from Perth know the Ryan girls. And the Ryan family, great family. Kevin Myers, good morning. Shouting at me today, but we missed Kevin's comments here a few weeks ago, and I'll make sure Kevin knows that was not a done deal. Pulver talking about Colin Hellenbuck says Jets win. Talk about the Jets a little bit for our boy Billy. I know he's a big Winnipeg.
Yeah, he's a big Winnipeg Jet guy. Look, I love what the Winnipeg Jets are doing. Sneaky good team out in the Western Conference, in the Central. A lot of people don't talk about them enough. Connor Hellebuck, everything that they've done in the offseason, everything that they will do in the offseason, they've got a complete change of attitude, complete mindset. I think once, Blake Wheeler left, guys committed, Hellebuck, Scheifele, they're building a winner there. Connor Hellebuck's the reason they win hockey games. Niederreiter's done well. They've added the depth with Sean Monahan. Kyle Connor's there. Defense is playing well. Laurent Brossoit is the backup, so Hellebuck gets some time off. The Winnipeg Jets can make noise. I mean, outside of the fact that, ticket sales aren't great, okay, fine. That's in any sport. So, they have a winner there, and they may have a chance to win a Stanley Cup this year. If I had to rank the Canadian teams, you got Winnipeg, Edmonton, Vancouver, then Toronto. So
Toronto fourth.
Yeah.
Kevin Myers agreeing with John. I don't know if you saw John's comment before. He was talking about Rempe. Rempe.
Yeah, Rempe's he's a good player. I mean, a lot of people want to see the Rempe effect, but look, I don't know if he needs to fight as much as he does. Saturday night's tilt aside, again, I didn't think it was going to happen, and then it happened in the third period. So it was a good fight. He changed his style up a little bit, so he didn't get beat. But I thought it was a good fight.
Excellent. What else? Anything else in the NHL? Because I do want to get a couple questions in about college basketball before we let you go today.
Trade deadline is Friday. Guys around the league, look out for Vegas, Tampa. They have cap space to use with long-term injured reserve players, LTIR space. Could Jake Getzel be moved out of Pittsburgh? If the Penguins keep losing on this road trip, may happen. Again, I'm not so sure until it does because the history of Kyle Dubas. Again, until it happens, it happens. Look out for Anaheim's going to be a seller. You got Frank Vetrano, Adam Henrique, our names linked to the Rangers. Duclair, Anthony Duclair, Kevin LeBanc, Tomas Hertl, Mike Hoffman out in San Jose, Vladimir Tarasenko up in Ottawa could be moved. There's some players that could be moved around Boston. We'll see what kind of assets they want to move out for their player to get a player, or they stand pat, but they have to do something. I think defensively and down the middle, they're going to have to add something. But what it is, we're going to find out because they definitely need that type of help. Again, Calgary will keep an eye on Noah Hannafin. I think he wants to go to Tampa, but can they make it work? And, again, Jacob Markstrom, we'll see as the goalie world turns, right? So that's what we're heading into this busy week for the National Hockey League. I think a lot will determine today if New Jersey finds a way to end the road trip, beat LA, okay, still kind of in contention. What do you do if you lose? Maybe they sell off a couple of pieces and they say, all right, forget about it. It's not our year. So a lot can happen in 5 days, but trade deadline's March 8th.
Excellent stuff. I know you got to run. A couple quick things. College basketball tournaments getting ready to gear up, which I love these next couple of weeks. Tuesday, I think we'll start with some of the smaller conferences, and the bigger conferences will start towards the weekend. Some big movement yesterday. St. John's, who was dead a week ago, and people ripping Patino for ripping his team in the press, they played great since. Had a couple of really good wins. They've got their first 3, I think, quad 1 wins of the year since that happened. Plus, they get some help yesterday because Villanova and Butler both win impressively, which helps their net ranking. Maybe a bad loss by Marquette yesterday. What do you see as the tournament start? Who's your favorite to win this tournament, and who do you see if we had to pick a team to come from the outside?
Man, I don't know. It's college basketball is a weird thing.
I'll make it easier for you because we'll talk more about who we want to win. Who you see as a number 1 overall team going into the tournament when the conference tournaments are done?
The number 1 overall seed. I mean, look, there's so many good teams out there right now, right? Like Houston's ranked number 1. Are they going to be the number 1 team in the nation? No, maybe they may be. But again, for me, I look at college basketball this way, right? Nothing really starts till these next couple of weeks, right? The number 1 ranking, these regular season games, to me, really don't matter because everybody gets in anyway. So you better figure out who you are and what you are. Look, 68-team field, we've seen anything can happen. I mean, I haven't really, with the trade deadline, caught up. I've been caught up in that so much, so I haven't really paid too much attention to it. I mean, look, it's always exciting, right? I always watch the tournament, but hard to pinpoint a number 1 team right now.
I will say this: it won't be Houston because I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
I like Houston. I like Houston a lot. They'll be a number 1 seed. I don't think they'll be the number 1 overall seed. And if there's a team, there's 8 teams. The first 4, last 4 buys, last 4 in. This is Joe Lunardi right now. Gonzaga's in the last 4 right now. They've been on a bubble pretty much all year. And I'm going to say right now, if I had to pick a team from way outside, don't look past the Bulldogs because they know how to get it done come tournament time. They haven't finished the deal, but when they're an outsider, they're better than when they're a favorite.
I agree. I think they're a better team when they're ranked lower and they just get in because they know how to play that type of basketball.
Yeah, agree. Well, we'll talk more about that. We'll get you in the college sports huddle, and as these tournaments start to get into full gear here the next couple of Wednesdays. And I appreciate you coming in as always, and your plethora of knowledge. Anything you want to leave us with before we let you go today, Jim?
Yeah, don't expand the NCAA men's basketball tournament.
Excellent point. Please do not do that. I think we're right where we need to be. I like it where it is right now.
I mean, if we could lose the playing games, I'd be happy.
Part of me likes those games, but
part of me doesn't like them.
I see
because I don't watch them.
All right, hey guys, catch Jim and I. We're gonna team up on Mac and Jack on the Mac and Jack debate show next Saturday morning, or this coming Saturday morning, I should say, 8:00 Eastern time. I don't know what the topics are yet. It's a big secret. Well, I gave him your email, by the way, so you'll see the topics, and we'll chat a little bit. They feel they cleaned the floor in their first matchup this last weekend, but I told them their reign as champion will be coming to an end. So. Yeah,
so look out.
All right, thanks for coming in, Jim. We'll have a great Sunday.
All right, you too. Always a pleasure, guys. Take care. Trade deadline coming up March 8th. I will be on with the boys on LTS tomorrow night, as always, in my normal spot. Maybe make another spot Thursday, too. A lot of things to talk about. Check out a lot of full press stuff up there. Final word on hockey. Go check it out. Just a lot of hockey content right now.
Definitely check out Jim's stuff both online and on the videos, and also with fullpresshockey.com. Thanks, Jim.
Take it easy, guys. Enjoy your Sunday.
Bye-bye. The great Jim Beringer from LTS and fullpresshockey.com. So after that little interruption, we can talk some more hockey. We can talk about anything you want. There was something up here I thought I missed. I'll get stoned. I guess it was Kenny said, I think be so stoned you will trip on the cup. Kenny promised me, last time I played golf with Kenny, he promised me he would only smoke outside the cart. And I did have a little contact high after about, 7 or 8 holes. So it was interesting. Oh my God! So what else, guys? Where were we? Where did we leave off? Where did we leave off? What were we talking about? We can talk more NHL. We can talk more LeBron. We can talk fan violence. I talked about Patino and St. John's. You can say another guy that you can think whatever you want about Rick Pitino. Nice job bringing out the ice cream salesman suit last week, by the way, and beating Creighton handily last Saturday, which really started their resurgence. This team is ready to, I think, Rick Pitino's a great coach. Rick Pitino's turned around every program he's gone to, and he's taken more teams to the NCAA tournament than any coach I can think of. BU, Providence, Kentucky, Louisville, Iona. St. John's will make it 6 teams he's taken to the NCAA tournament. If he doesn't do it this year, he's doing it. Probably next year. They would have made it this year. They had a big mid-season swoon that hurt them a lot. But we'll see what happens there. Kenny, the former Mohawks players are on fire in college this year. Have we even started the college baseball season? I haven't even looked at it. I promise I'll look at it and we'll talk some about the college baseball. And we'll get Larry Sorensen on to talk about that. And I didn't see, by the way, Larry has been here today and liked the show. A couple of people I'll mention have I can see were here, but didn't comment. Larry Sorensen, Frank Laterzo, great stuff with closed fist boxing. Is it closed fist boxing? I hope I got it right, Frank. If I didn't, please correct me. Christopher Piazza, hopefully I'm saying your name right, Christopher, and other people have commented. So thanks for coming in and following us as always. We got about 43 minutes. I can't do math. Damn perf upbringing. 45 minutes, we'll call it. Rick brings the best perk to his recruitment visits. Come on. Listen, by all intent, again, I'm going to back a guy that, again, I think Rick Pitino is a great coach. So I think he's a perfect human being, no, but neither am I. The whole thing in Louisville with the prostitutes really was not orchestrated by him. It was other assistants going rogue, which he's responsible for. He's responsible for what happened there. But again, no matter what you want to say about Rick Pitino, he is a tremendous basketball coach. Anyway, we can talk more. These teams on the bubbles, I'll give you this real quick since we're talking about it. And we can talk more NCAA. We can talk Major League Baseball, NFL, NHL, college football. Nonsense going on in the NCAA, which we want to get Larry Sorensen on to talk about. But right now, this is Joe, and this changes every single day, guys. The guys on the bubble, the last 4 byes, Florida Atlantic, great run in the tournament last year, having another great year this year, even beat a top 5 team, Arizona, on the road. Nevada, Wake Forest, Virginia. These are the last 4 byes, so they wouldn't play in the first 4, the play-in games. Last 4 in, New Mexico, Gonzaga, Seton Hall. Great job by Shasheen Holloway at Seton Hall this year, and Providence, who's been very up and down. And actually, Providence, Villanova, and Butler all winning this weekend has helped St. John's position. Right now, they sit in the first 4 out. First 4 out right now, according to Joe Lunardi, Villanova, Utah, Pac-12 with 2 spots probably. That's it. Arizona and Washington State. Washington State wins yesterday. I think they're in the tournament now. Colorado, another Pac-12 school, probably not getting in. St. John's moved onto the bubble for the first time in weeks. And the next 4 out, Buzz Peterson's Texas A&M team. Fran McCafferty, who we all like from his time at Siena, all us locals here. Always root for Fran. Got to do some big, heavy work in the Big Ten tournament to be able to move up and get in this tournament. Ole Miss and Kansas State. So this will change every day, and we'll talk about it come Thursday again. So what do we got here, Rick? College kids are not worried about perks anymore. Anything goes. You know, I'm glad you brought this up, Kenny, because I know I talked about it a little bit last week on the College Sports Huddle. It is anything goes. This is no longer, there is no illusion of amateurism in college sports, at least big time college sports at all. Because it's no longer, and again, it was happening already. Anything goes was going with a lot of schools. All these investigations, there were several investigations going on, including Tennessee, who started this whole ball rolling with the courts. And the courts come in and say the NCAA cannot enforce any of their rules. So now I can use NIL money to actually recruit players, which teams were doing anyway. And it was really the one rule you couldn't do. You could not use it to entice a kid to come to your school. You could use it to keep him there or, help him make ends meet, if you will. $2 million a year for a quarterback. But anybody who didn't think it was being used before as a recruiting inducement, I said it would be, and it was. NCAA has no teeth anymore. The NCAA is on its deathbed. It's really sad. Because the game's going to change more and more, guys. We are on the precipice of having more teams join the Big Ten and the SEC, and they will break off from the NCAA entirely. And what will that mean? That'll be great for, football. Not as great, but okay for basketball, men's basketball, maybe even women's basketball. Because there'll be a lot of money to be made in TV rights. But what's it going to do to sports that, and I suppose Title IX would still have to be instituted and followed. But how are the women's lacrosse team or the bocce ball team, whoever you want to talk about, bocce ball, how are they going to travel? How's Rutgers women's lacrosse or women's field hockey, whatever sport you want to talk about that is not a moneymaker and is only kept in play by the money generated from the actual revenue generating sports? How are they going to afford to travel from Rutgers to Los Angeles? It's funny too, and there are still student athletes out there, but the illusion of student athlete will even take a bigger hit and maybe go away entirely. There are still student athletes out there, guys, whether you believe it or not. There are guys even going to Alabama who are really good students and getting 3.9s and 4.0s. And you got the Stanfords and the Dukes of the world and the Northwesterns and the Notre Dames of the world where there's real student athletes. They can't do anything. Right now, they can do nothing, according to the courts. Now, is this over? No. But the NCAA, what's going to happen? The NCAA is going to bend over backwards. Chuck Baker, who is the former governor of Massachusetts, has already got a plan in place that he's put in front of league commissioners and the people who make these decisions to pay all players like $30,000, but then put in stricter restrictions for how the NIL money is used. It's not going to work because the players, it's just a matter of time. You remember a few years ago, Northwestern players went to court to try to unionize. It's a matter of time before that happens. And the NCAA will no longer be what we watch today. I've said for a long time, Saturdays are so much better than Sundays because of the excitement, the energy on campus. That stuff's going to change because we're going to view these guys differently. They're basically the minor league feeder system for the NFL. Now, maybe when the bigger schools break off, then the lesser tiered teams, even on Division I level now, they're still going to be playing for NCAA titles. I don't know what they'll call the other one. You got to remember something too. The college football tournament playoff, college football playoff, the tournament as we go to 12 teams, has no affiliation with the NCAA. None. Right now, you could play a college football playoff, and the NCAA could name somebody else. They could come up with a different system. They could go back and say, let the newspapers or the polls decide. You could have split champions going forward. Rick's got that information. I'm more impressed with the guy. What's he going to run in his pads, though, Kenny? Does anyone know where Pat McAfee has been on ESPN? He's been on, as far as I know. In fact, this week, I don't know for a fact because I don't watch his show religiously. I'm not a huge Pat McAfee fan. I wasn't terribly happy when they put him on the game day cast, which, by the way, Nick Saban will be joining this year. And there's times where he's funny, right? But his stuff gets old. It's the same stuff all the time. He's there to rile up the kids that are at the pregame show. As far as his radio show goes, I find him way over the top. He does see remorse. He does have remorse for giving Aaron Rodgers a voice to be the jerk that he was during this whole Jimmy Kimmel, Jeffrey Epstein thing. And Aaron Rodgers can spin this any way he wants, but Aaron Rodgers basically, in my mind, was out there trying to tarnish the reputation of Jimmy Kimmel. And believe me, I am the last guy in the world who wants to stick up for Jimmy Kimmel, by the way. But to try to tarnish a guy's reputation the way he did is ridiculous, and he can spin it any way he wants. He's wrong. But I didn't know he'd been off the air. He's battling with one of his bosses, who he says I don't have any bosses. But I do know for all the money they paid Pat McAfee, which is a boatload of money, to get him away from, I don't know what he was on. I can't remember. YouTube, I guess. His ratings are not what ESPN was hoping for. So we'll see. In Rodgers' cave eating mushrooms. Again, Pat McAfee, more than once, and again, I saw a story this week where he's upset about what went on there with the whole Rodgers and Jimmy Kimmel thing. And he's unhappy that his show facilitated this whole controversy. And Aaron Rodgers, that's all you need to know about Aaron Rodgers, to know that he's a tremendous dick. Excuse my French. One thing, another thing we didn't get a chance to talk about. I don't know if we talked about it last week or not. McCall, I can never say this guy's name. McCall, somebody help me. Where's Drew? Hardiman. Integral in the Kansas City Chiefs winning the Super Bowl. Played with them before. Went to the Jets for more money. Became disillusioned with the Jets during the middle of the season. Said afterwards, here a couple of weeks ago, that the Jets organization and coaching staff was all in disarray, and he pretty much packed it in. Well, that tells me two things. I'm not surprised about the whole Jet situation, but you don't like what's going on, so you just quit. You just stop. You start mailing it in. And now the Jets have accused him of potentially, I don't think accuse is the right word, but they've let it be known that they think somebody might have given the Chiefs some game plan information when the Jets played the Chiefs. And then Hardman, when he gets released, goes right back to the Chiefs. He's not a bad player. With the Chiefs, he made his bones, making big third down catches. He wasn't a number one receiver. Big third down catches, playing on special teams, which, from what I'm told, he refused to do with the Jets. So there's guys like I don't understand guys like Hardiman with the Jets who admit they quit playing. I mean, and maybe that's when the Jets cut him. I don't know. but you're going to make that admission. If you did it, shut up. Don't tell people. I said the same thing about Anthony Rendon, and I've said it a few weeks. And I hate to be repetitive, but I know some of the people haven't heard my take on some of this. Anthony Rendon says, yeah, I play baseball. I don't really like it. Why would you voice that? If you, in fact, feel that way and teams have paid you hundreds of millions of dollars to play a game, why would you voice the fact that I don't even like it? Especially when you can't even keep yourself on the field and you haven't earned the big money people are paying you. Again, we talked a little bit about on the Mac and Jack show this morning about whether the athlete is different. Is there something wrong, with Caleb Williams and his father trying to dictate where he goes? This isn't new. Yes, I think the athlete today wants everything right now. Anthony mentioned before that his father, Caleb Williams' father, didn't want to settle for the rookie contract. He has no choice. There are rules in place. Everybody wants everything now. It's a microcosm. I said the same thing about fan violence and bad behavior in arenas. Sports is a microcosm of society. And we don't live up to the social contract that we have with each other. We also want everything right now. I don't want to work for it and get it 5 years from now, 10 years from now. I want it now. I hire somebody and I want them to be able to, and they want to be able to get all the perks that somebody that's worked for me for 15 or 20 years has. Are you crazy? And by the way, the whole thing of trying to manipulate where you go in the NFL draft is nothing new. I mean, the Mannings did this with Eli. Archie Manning didn't want him, and Eli, I presume, didn't want to play in San Diego. They said, don't draft him. They did draft him, and they helped manipulate a trade to the Giants where he wanted to go. Here's Drew. Help me out with Mercole. I can't say that name. I don't know why. Oh, that's a really good line. That's a really good question. The guy's name, hang on one second. Kenny, this is a good one. I'll get to the rest of these comments in just a second. Let me pull up this guy. I want to know his name. Came from San Diego State. Hold on. He was drafted by Buffalo. And right afterwards, he was accused of rape and a bunch of other nonsensical things. Matt Araiza. Guy's got a boomer leg. He was drafted, I believe. I want to say he was drafted in the first round. No, round 6. Sorry, I don't know where I got first round. Anyway, he gets accused of rape. The Bills caught him immediately. And the whole thing turns out to be just a mistaken identity, a story made up, whatever you want to call it. And now Matt Araiza is back in the NFL. And where does he go to get his reputation back? I don't even think he was found innocent, by the way, Kenny. The charges were dropped. I mean, I wouldn't even use innocent implies, well, they found him innocent of the charges that he was accused of. The charges were not even factual. And this isn't like Trevor Bauer. This is something totally different. Trevor Bauer's got a history, a big, long history of issues. But now they brought this kid back. I'm glad you brought this up. This should have been a talking point I'd written down for you guys. Now he gets his chance to play, but where does he go to get his reputation back? Because he's going to hear this stuff all over the league when he's out there. And then I don't believe there were any criminal charges ever filed. There was a lawsuit that this woman had brought against several San Diego State players. So, not good. T. Sweat played for the Texas. Who's that? That's the lineman. That's got to be the lineman running. See, I can figure these out sometimes. Let's see if we can pick up these comments. Pick it up, guys. We got 30 minutes to go. Needs to sweat a little more. Mecole. Is that how you say it? Mecole? That's it. All right. Yeah, that's a great line too, Rick. Or what's your name? Drew. Accent on me in all possible ways. I mean, come on, right? This guy can't just go and win a Super Bowl after he got back with his original team and the Chiefs. He was a big part of that. Can't just enjoy that. He's got to rip the Jets on his way out, which maybe they deserve or they don't deserve. But then he includes the fact that, just because you didn't use me the way I should have been used, I quit. I just started mailing it in. So, by the way, I hope to God the Chiefs want him back, because if I'm a team, I'm not bringing this guy in. Why would I bring in a guy like Mecole Hardman or Anthony Rendon who tell me either I quit at my team or I hate the game I play? What is wrong with these guys? Kenny Gifford, 100% fact. Needs to sweat more. CA's here. We didn't get a dart update, though. CA popped in during Jim Behringer's appearance. Drew, while you're out there, and we'll get you in. Why don't you we had a few topics during baseball while you were gone. I don't know if you got some comments on the Scott Boras situation. Scott Boras obviously misread the market. None of his players are getting what he thought they were going to get. They're all settling for shorter-term contracts with opt-outs after a year. Not that they're going to be missed in any way. I just saw something I got to bring up, too, about Andy Russell. The fact that Rob Manfred is going to retire, but not soon enough. What else is out there for MLB baseball that we haven't talked about? Maybe real quick, and we'll talk about it, Drew. We're going to do our MLB preview show. But who do we think right now, off the top of our heads, who's going to be the Diamondbacks of this year? One thing I keep reading is the Reds, and I don't know if I can count the Reds because the Reds were in contention for the playoffs last year. The Diamondbacks came from nowhere. Well, they were getting better the year before. They didn't finish over 500 like the Reds did. So I don't know if I really want to count them. I guess if I'm going to throw a team out there that I think might fit this bill, and I got disappointments for you too. I think the Rangers could have a precipitous fall this year. I think the Brewers are going to see a precipitous fall. I know I got into this with JB on Friday that Brewers got some really good players for Burns and whatnot, and I know they did, but they haven't performed at a major league level. I see the Brewers taking a fall this year. I could see the Diamondbacks, unless Rodriguez works out, and I don't like the signings of Peterson and Juarez. I think it really goes against what really made them successful last year. There's some teams I can see taking a fall. Teams getting over the hump in a big way from way back to Diamondbacks territory last year. I can't come up with one. I really can't. I'm having trouble coming up with a real good team. I mean, everybody, I guess I want to talk about, they're going to have to be teams that finish at least 500. It's going to have to be the Cubs. It's going to have to be the Reds. I can't really come up with somebody that I think will make that kind of leap. So anyway, anything else? Drew, I know you've been away and I've been away, and we can talk about some of this stuff. Check your email for a chuckle on an earlier subject. My email? I don't see anything in my email. You talk about Facebook Messenger? Hang on, what's Rick got here? Oh, the guys. Oh, I gotcha. I said to I didn't understand one of Rick's comments earlier. Oh, God. Oh, it's pretty funny. I think I'll leave it at that. The Expos. Yes, the Expos would definitely be an outsider. By the way, it's very funny. The people in Montreal are really serious about trying to get a team in Montreal. You had a team taken away from you. I understand you had a bad stadium situation, but you guys had some good teams you didn't support. Why am I going to put a team back in Montreal? Why? I wouldn't do that. Tigers, Tigers could be a dark horse. No pun intended. Let me look at the Tigers. I had them in the back of my head, Drew. But then I look at their pitching and I see Medea, Flaherty. I like Casey Mize, but he hasn't really stepped up yet. Reese Olson, I don't see enough there. I like Alex Lang, the closer. Torkelson's a nice player. But you got a lot of guys, man, that really are going to have to make a major jump. Colt Keith. He signed journeymen like Mark Canha. Didn't they no, I guess that was the Royals who got Hunter Renfroe. You got an overpaid guy who's just not performing, and he's fundamentally flawed in Javier Baez. Great talent, man. No fundamentals. So, I don't know. I mean, I thought about them, but the more I looked at them, I'm like, I just don't know if they can make this jump. CA's having fun, apparently. I don't know. Kenny's CA might be getting a little contact hit there. I don't know. Did I just get rid of all my stuff? I hope I did. Linda, great show as always, watching on Roku. Again, guys, we talked about the Northeast Streaming Sports Roku channel. Make sure you get over there and download it. You can download it for free on the Roku app. Just go to channels, I believe, and search for Northeast Streaming Sports, and you'll be able to download that app. And there's lots of great content there. The only problem, if you want to comment on my show or those other shows, you'll need to also be on your computer because there's no way to do it through Roku. But Roku is a great way to view it on the big screen. What's better than this giant Rick, this giant head on the big screen? Because of St. Catherine Street is a good reason. I'm not sure what's on St. Catherine Street, Kenny, but I know the Canadian Ballet, which is what we used to call it was a different name we gave for the strip clubs in Montreal. Maybe that's what you're talking about. I don't know, but I don't know what's on St. Catherine Street in Montreal. Oh, God. The Canadian Ballet was a big it was a big drawing point for some people I know that used to go to Expos games. Oh, gosh. All right, you guys have slowed down here a little bit on your comments. I'm going to jump into some other news until you come up with something. What's going on in the NFL real quick? Major League Baseball, I haven't talked about some of this stuff. Let's see. Braves are trying to be optimistic about Acuna's knee. Has got some injuries. Irritated meniscus. Not a good sign, especially for a guy whose game is built the way Acuna's is. Hurt your power. And I heard his running, obviously. Jason Manoah's Chapman. We talked about Chapman agreeing to a three-year, I believe. Let me check this out. $54 million deal, but he's got opt-outs after every year. And I got to tell you, I don't feel great about opt-outs. And Jack Hirsch brought this up earlier on the Mac and Jack show. We were talking about I would have rather seen Cody Bellinger come in for 3 years at $80 million than I would Verdugo and have to play judge in center field, blah, blah, blah. And he talked about the fact that I don't like opt-outs. I don't like opt-outs. But I'm talking about more when I'm giving a guy 7, 8, even 6, even 5, I guess. These long-term contracts and giving them financial security, and they want opt-outs to go with it. No. And I don't think, these guys look at $90 million, $80 million for Bellinger is pretty good long-term security, right? But it's different for me in this case. I could bring him in if I only got him for 1 year, and I'll ask him for buyouts or opt-outs on both sides. I think Bellinger would have been a better fit for this Yankee team than Verdugo. Can play well defensively, all 3 outfield positions, and I need him in center field, so I keep Judge out of there. I could play him at first base if something happens with Rizzo. He's a plus defensive player there. He's a better bat than Verdugo. I might even want to see them sign Chapman because I love DJ, but DJ's had 2 bad years in a row. He's getting older. His body's breaking down. What we got going on here? Kenny's got to fix the dog's food. Is it a full-blown meal, Kenny? 5 courses? What do you got to do there? Thanks for joining us, Kenny, and thanks for your input as always. We have a lot of fun. Another thing in MLB to kind of take a look at, how is Stephen Vogt, who went from a big league player just 2 years ago to a big league manager in Cleveland this year? Steve Vogt somewhat famously started his career 0 for 32, I believe with the San Francisco Giants, if I'm not mistaken. Went from 1 year of coaching to the dugout managing the Cleveland Guardians. Following a tough act in one of the great managers and probably a Hall of Famer in Terry Francona. So I think that'll be interesting to see. What do you got here? Gunnar Henderson, Verlander, Machado, Vaughn Grissom also injured. Gunnar Henderson is the biggest name here for me. Machado, Vaughn Grissom is definitely, and I thought the one of the good things it did, I couldn't understand the Braves giving up on Vaughn Grissom so quickly. I think he's got some talent. Maybe he's not a shortstop. Maybe he's a second baseman, which I believe the Red Sox were looking at him as. For Aaron Seeley, who, again, he pitched about 4 good games last year. Verlander, not a big surprise. What you leave out here too, and when I talk about teams I think could take a precipitous drop, the Rangers are going to be waiting for 3/5 of their starting rotation until about midseason. DeGrom won't be ready till midseason, and he's going to get hurt right after that anyway. Scherzer's going to be out till probably midseason. Tyler Mahle, who they brought in to be their 5th starter, is going to be out till midseason. Now, they got a lot of good bats that can carry them, but I wasn't high on his team last year, and I got a feeling this is a team, God bless them. Congratulations on getting your first World Series championship. I think maybe when we do our preview, this is a team that I'm going to seriously downgrade going forward. Because I do like the Astros still. I'm still very bullish on the Astros. And I do think Seattle is going to move ahead and finally get it done here this year. It's still a pretty flawed team defensively. The infield defense is going to be really bad. They're going to cover less ground than maybe any infield in baseball. But they got a lot of bats. So they made some interesting trades this year. We'll see if that helps put them over the top. And Gunnar Henderson, by the way, Gunnar Henderson for the Orioles is a huge loss if he's out any period of time. And I don't know the extent of his injury. I don't know let's see what they're saying over here. He's day to day. Let's see what they say here. I can't catch it quick. That's fine. I don't think it's a serious injury. We'll find out. We'll know more probably before we do our depth chart. Sorry, I'm looking at the Baltimore depth chart right now. I just love this team. I really do. I don't know about Kimbrel being a closer. He's either very good or very bad, but they'll get I'm trying to think of the kid's name. They've got Cano who can back him up, I think, as a closer. Plus, they got the other kid who's out till, I don't know, at least the early part of the season, if not mid-season. But I like the offense. I like Rushman, obviously. I like Henderson a lot. I like Mateo at shortstop. Cedric Mullins, I would expect to bounce back. He had a bit of a mediocre year last year. I like a lot of this team. Plus, I like their desire. Yeah, Brewers re-signing Woodruff was smart. And that was one of the reasons I downgraded him, Drew, was the fact that it didn't look like they were going to bring him back. But with him back in the fold, I may look at this a little bit differently. In fact, I don't see him in there. Did he re-sign or didn't he? I shouldn't doubt your comment here because I missed that. Let me check that out. Their starting rotation, which was their strength, is one of my issues with this team going forward. Hang on a second. Can't get to Brandon Woodruff. All right, Brandon Woodruff, where are you? It says he's on the Brewers, so I'm going to take your word for it. I don't see it. The last comment, Woodruff staying with the Brewers, backloaded 2-year deal worth $17.5 million 1 week ago. Somehow I missed that. And obviously so did ESPN because he hasn't even made their depth chart. So that, again, that does give me a little bit better feel for where my depth charts go. There. But with Burns gone, the back end of this rotation, and DL Hall's got a lot of potential, but I haven't seen on a major league level yet, right? Got him in the Burns trade. But right now, assuming Woodruff is healthy, I got Peralta, who's a good he's not a top major league starter, but he's a good major league starter. And I can see but I don't see Miley, Ashby, Colin Ray being all that good. Plus, their defense is horrendous. They may be looking to trade Woodruff and Willy Adames by midseason if they don't get going. Can we count on Christian Yelich to have another resurgent season like he had last year? I'm not sure we can. Yeah, Gary Sanchez signs with the Brewers. Yes. No bigger waste of talent. I won't say no. Gary Sanchez is as big a waste of talent as I've seen in my entire lifetime. Just didn't work hard enough in my mind. His first 2 years are his best. He regressed every year. This guy would look like a Hall of Famer his first couple of years. But to me, just didn't work hard enough. Luke Vogt. How about are the Mets going to be? You know, I know you told me you're not a Met fan, Drew. But you know, I have this sense that, you know, down deep, you're really a Mets fan. And, you know, again, we can agree to disagree there. How bad are the Mets going to be? How bad are the Mets going to be? If Senga is out for any period of time, which it looks like it may be, because I hear things about the shoulder socket. I forget the surgery, but the same type of surgery that other players, it's more serious than Tommy John, more serious than rotator cuff. If that's the case, this team's in trouble. I know Luis Severino had a great outing the other day. He's going to get hurt. Quintana still hasn't pitched for the team. Hauser, Manea. Wow. I know Edwin Diaz will be a plus coming back in that bullpen, but the rest of that bullpen doesn't excite me. And the defense is not going to be very good. Well, maybe it'll be better than I think. Marte's a year older. I love Marte, and there's some great news coming out of spring training about him, but he'll get hurt. The kid getting hurt at third base, whose name's there he is right there, Marachio, getting hurt. They really thought he might win that third base job. Now it comes down to Batty and Vientos again. And you might see the Mets and Yankees fighting it out for Bregman next year when he's a free agent, by the way. Jeff McNeil. You got Pete Alonso, Lindor, Nemo. I like Bader. I know Drew doesn't like Bader, but I like Bader, but he doesn't stay healthy. This team, again, I watch Barstool a lot, and I see Frank the Tank, who's a big Met fan, but he's also a freaking nut job. I mean, he thinks this team will be the worst team in Major League Baseball. I'm not sure they're quite that bad, but this team isn't competing for anything right away. Vogelbach in the minors for the Jays. By the way, Vogelbach also hit a home run off of Cole the other day, which he kind of took his time getting around the bases. Maybe it's just his normal trot because he weighs more than I do. But Cole said afterwards, he says, there's things I don't forget. Just run when you hit the ball. I did hear the big panda back. Was it Giants? Another guy. What is it with these fat guys? Maybe I should make a comeback at 64 years old and way overweight. What are these guys thinking about? Oh, my God. Jesus. Anything else in the news? Give me some news. We got to sign off here in about 5 minutes. So, Drew, you can continue to put Major League Baseball stuff if you want for the next few minutes. That's fine. If anybody else got anything else, you can certainly jump in there. We had a great show today. You guys have been very, very active as always. Looking at some people that may not have. Can I see who's on Twitter? Can't see who's on Twitter. That's interesting. Anyway, some people that have been in and did not comment, I want to thank for coming in. Tom Adamczyk up there in Amsterdam. Rick Sager up there in the town of Amsterdam. I guess they should consider Tommy in the town of Amsterdam as well. Maybe in the town of Perth. I'm not sure. Kevin Myers commented. Larry Sorensen was in. Frank Laterzo and Christopher Piazza, a couple of people that I could see. Can't see everybody at all times, but great participation by you guys in the room as always. As I said, I'll be getting with Drew to come up with a date to do our MLB preview show, which has been a big hit and got some great attention and views the last 2 years. We'll continue doing that, assuming Drew's up to it. We'll come up with a date and time to do that. We'll do it live. We'll try to do it. We'll do it definitely on all the streams that I have available to me. And we'll do it on Northeast Streaming Sports Roku if there's a live, if the time is available to do it. If not, we'll probably replay it when Mac and Linda tell me it's a good time to replay it. So that'll be coming up. We'll have our college sports huddle, which will be concentrating a lot on the tournaments that are coming up. Starting this week, Tuesday, we should start some of the smaller leagues. And by the weekend, everybody will be fully involved in conference tournaments. This conference tournament weekend, to me, is more fun than the NCAA tournament itself. And I love the NCAA tournament. But conference tournaments, to me, are still the bread and butter and what I love the most. So it's a great 10 days, 2 weeks of basketball coming up very, very soon, leading up to Selection Sunday on the 17th of March. Who am I picking number 3 in the draft? Wouldn't you like to know? I guess it depends on who goes number 1 and 2. But if I tell you, Drew, it's going to tip my hand and somebody could take him away from me. We only got a few minutes left here. Well, we got Scott Colby pops in here at the end. We're going to have to pop off here in a minute. What do you think of Apple? Oh, you know what? Actually, guys, I will tell you this. If you have Apple TV, we got a couple minutes. Great point. And I could have brought this up, but most people probably haven't seen this. There's a great documentary. I'm not sure how many episodes it is. I'm through 6, I think. Called Dynasty. And it's about the Patriots. And it's really, guys, if you've watched fluff pieces about the Patriots dynasty in the past, you can watch this. Early on, there's a little bit of that. But this thing is, I think, takes a pretty fair view of everything that went on from Spygate. We haven't got to Deflategate yet. And I'll make my comments. But I'm glad you brought this up, Scott. And I'll talk about it just for a couple of minutes. They talked about Aaron Hernandez. Aaron Hernandez was the focal point of the last episode, and them drafting him, knowing the problems that he had, thinking they could overcome him. The fact that he duped pretty much everybody in the organization, including Robert Kraft. But this guy was a ignatic. I'm going to say the wrong word. He was just he had dual personalities. He was sweet and kind. He'd given Robert Kraft a kiss on the cheek every time he saw him, offering $150,000 to donate to his widow's, Robert Kraft's first wife had died of ovarian cancer, and he wanted to donate $150,000 to the fund. Just doing wonderful things. But there were things going on off the field that we know now the Patriots didn't know about. They knew there was problems. The players knew there was problems with Aaron Hernandez. Again, I don't think there's somebody to blame here, because you weren't going to stop this guy. He asked to be traded to the West Coast to get away from the problems he knew he was facing, but I'm sure his problems would have followed him anyway. I'm going to stay on for a couple minutes just to talk about this right now. So I'm going to have to say goodbye to, I'm not going to remove it. They can just talk over me because it screwed up my feed last time. So hopefully we'll get cut off on the Roku channel when the new show starts. And if I'm not, boot me, Mac, because last time I did it during the show, it screwed up my audio. And it was painful. I don't know how you felt, Scott, but it was painful to watch Deion Branch, who lived across the street from Aaron Hernandez. It was painful to watch him talk about how he feels in retrospect and how he felt at the time, which it seemed like he felt helpless to be able to help this kid. It's a kid who had everything. He just signed a $40 million contract, but he's out before he ever killed the Lloyd kid. He had killed 2 other people. We're not talking about he was involved. He pulled the trigger and it killed 2 people before the 2012 season. And he's going to practice the next day, basically. And he plays on a Super Bowl winner. And Bill Belichick, some of the players think they couldn't believe that Belichick let him get away with some of the things he was getting away with in practice. Very unlike Bill Belichick. Very unlike Robert Kraft, I think, to get hoodwinked by somebody like Aaron Hernandez. It's always been a sad story to me, one that I can't fully get my head around, and I still can't fully get my head around. It's a sad story. I mean, for him, for his family, for the families he affected, obviously by murdering their children or husbands or whatever they might have been. It's something that I've had a hard time getting my head around the whole thing forever. So anyway, guys, if you haven't watched this, if you have Apple TV, watch it. It's a great miniseries, and it does not just whitewash everything. You'll enjoy it. I can still find ways to defend certain things. Everyone take Grand Canyon to make the NCAA tournament because Tarleton State is ineligible. There you go. There's your gambling tip from Scott Colby today. It was a cringe. It was hard to watch. To me, if you're, I agree. Hard to watch as a Patriot fan, Scott, but also hard to watch just as a human being. It was hard to watch if you know anything about the story. And you watch guys like the Deion Branch part. I don't know about you, Scott. The Deion Branch parts of that interview were it was hard to watch because you could see the pain. You can see the pain in Deion Face's Branch all these years later that he wasn't able to help this kid. That he didn't. And I think he thinks he saw the signs and didn't do more to help him. And I'm not blaming Deion Branch. I'm not blaming Bob Kraft. I'm not blaming Bill Belichick. I mean, part of this thing I think they tried to spin it so Belichick looked bad. He wouldn't, he looks like he's being interrogated in a murder case up there himself. And his parts of the interview, because he said, I've already talked about Aaron Hernandez and there's nothing more for me to add here. I think they did try to make him look bad because when this all happened, Kraft said, we have to get rid of this guy right now. Jonathan Kraft was in the country. His father and Belichick were out of the country. And he said, we have to make a move right now. And Belichick was more measured than they were because he was like, he's not been found guilty of anything yet. And again, I don't think the Patriots knew this was a troubled kid. But there's lots of troubled guys in the NFL. I'm not blaming the Patriots for the things that happened in any way. There's nothing they could have done to me in retrospect to avoid any of this, except not draft him in the first place. But Belichick talked about, he had to lose a great player and blah, blah, blah. But again, I think he was just thinking the situation through. Again, they try to make Belichick look like a bad guy in a lot of this. Yeah, Brandon Lloyd talked about how he joined the team and his locker was between Gronk and Hernandez, and Wes Welker and other players had come to him and said, stay away from Aaron. Stay away from Aaron. He was going to do stuff. He was doing some weird shit, excuse my French, in the locker room. But it was pretty apparent outside of the locker room, his life obviously was spinning out of control. but I don't think you can hold the organization responsible for that. You can do a lot of things. You can blame the Patriots for a lot of things. You can't blame them for what happened to Aaron Hernandez. I mean, the best thing for Aaron Hernandez would have been drafted by the Seattle Seahawks, far away from his cronies in Bristol, Connecticut. Really sad. No, it's great. I agree, Scott, 100%. I don't need to keep watching. I know a lot of the stuff, right? I know a lot of the stuff in this. A lot of this book was in a lot of the stuff in the documentary I'd already read in a book called Dynasty. I don't know if they took from that book or not. I think I recommended it to you, Scott. And I'm a Patriot fan, but I don't need to see everything sugar-coated. I want to see the real stuff. So I can change my opinion if I need to about certain things. I'm really not. The Spygate stuff, I still will tell you that, they were guilty. And I was angry because this team is good enough. We don't need to do this stuff. But I will also reiterate that I will tell you that everybody in the league is doing something like that. Patriots knew people were taping their signals, taping their sidelines. And again, I will tell you, same as the Michigan situation, the same as this situation. Once somebody gets you in their crosshairs and they want to find something about what you're doing to gain an illegal advantage, whether it's this or something else, they'll find it. They'll find it. Don't you worry. They'll find it. And they got caught. And I was angry, and I'm still angry. Because I shouldn't have to be talking about this all these years later, because they didn't need to be doing it. They do put it out there, honestly. That's what I said. I like the fact that it's really unbiased, in my opinion. Yeah, it was a great book. I learned a lot of things I didn't know in that book, Scott. They kind of glossed over it in this documentary, but when Bledsoe got hurt, when Mo Lewis leveled him in that Jet game, short just after 9/11, they what were the Patriots going to do? They had to rely on this unknown quarterback. The book talks about it. The documentary doesn't. The coaches all felt in training camp Brady was the best quarterback that they had. But they couldn't play him because they just signed Drew Bledsoe to be the highest paid player in the NFL. And at that time, Drew Bledsoe was Bob Kraft's boy, not Tom Brady, as he became later. I don't know why that didn't come up. I was waiting for that to come up, and they didn't. All you got to do is put a line in there. That was one of the things in the book that I never really knew until then, how everybody else felt. Well, thank you, Scott. Every once in a while, I have a good. It was a, again, I think I did. That's something I didn't know at the time and found out later. I don't think it was as late as that book, but Drew Bledsoe nearly died that night. Because if I'm not mistaken, he went back in the game. I'm trying to think if he went back in the game or just getting ready to go back in the game. I think he went back in the game, and they pulled him right back out. And if he'd not gone to the hospital when he did, he likely would have bled out internally and died. So good stuff, Scott. I'm glad you came in. We're going to wrap it up here. We had a great, great Sunday morning as always, guys. Scott, thanks for coming in and bringing that stuff up late. Watch Scott's stuff on LTS. Really good stuff. Want gambling tips? Scott's the guy to go to. Me, college football, yes. Everything else, not so much. We'll be on Wednesday with College Football Huddle. College Sports Huddle, I should say. We're going to talk a lot of college basketball these next few weeks. I'll probably even do maybe a Selection Sunday show that night, maybe during the announcements. I'll try to do that if I can work it out. We'll be back here next Sunday with the Stream of Consciousness. We'll have Are You Serious? coming up Friday, and of course various appearances here and there as the week goes on. Must be on the lookout. Drew, you have a great week as well, and be on the lookout for that MLB preview show with myself and one Drew Ehrlich as well. Guys, have a great Sunday. Keith Engel out.